Salutations everybody, it is Matty here today. Hope you're all doing absolutely excellent. Hope you all also had a very wonderful Christmas morning because Santa Nintendo snuck in and left a couple of surprises in there, from brand new hardware we're going to talk about to very pricey video games that we'll also get into. But there's a lot in between all of that. A lot to be excited about, but definitely a lot to discuss, and how what Nintendo is doing will have an impact on the industry, no doubt. But ladies and gentlemen, if you're new here, welcome. If you're watching this after a million other Switch 2 videos, thank you for being here. I know everyone's talking about it, so I just appreciate the time. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, got lots of thoughts, so let's just dive straight in. The Nintendo Switch 2 is launching June 5th for $449, or if you want Mario Kart World alongside it, it'll be 500 buckaroos. Not gonna lie, pretty pricey at the end of the day, obviously, but compared to where I was expecting it to land, like 500 plus, I was actually pleasantly surprised by this one. I thought for everything it's offering and how a lot of third-party games on it looked pretty good, I was surprised to see it was, at least on its own, if you're not including Mario Kart, under the $500 price tag. So I know everyone's financial situation is different, but when I saw this, I did not get the whiplash quite like the PS5 Pro. However, I think the trade-off is that because the hardware is in a spot where you can at least try to save up for it, it's definitely, we're paying a different price on the software front, which does suck when you see how many compelling day one games are going to be waiting for us. Now, the Switch one does come packed with a 1080p screen that they showed that can go up to 120 FPS. It has HDR support. The dock itself can produce 4K 60 imagery, which I know Nintendo and technical standards are totally different from the rest of the industry, but was not expecting that. And again, a lot of the third-party stuff we saw, or Metroid Prime 4, looked really good. I was like, okay, the stinky Switch moniker might fade away for a little bit of time. We'll see how things go long-term, but not too bad. I was very pleased by that. There's 2 USB-C ports, where one of them you can plug in that camera. I don't want to hear any of y'all who slandered the Xbox One and the spyware we called it. I don't want to hear anything about the Xbox One Kinect camera versus whatever the hell camera on a stand Nintendo's providing you with the worst green screen effects I've ever seen. But nonetheless, you can plug your camera in while it's in handheld mode if you'd like. There is 256 gigabytes of storage. You can use micro SDs to upgrade said storage. There is support for physical games. You can use the carts from your Nintendo Switch 1. However, they clarified on their website, some of these are now game key cards. This is a bit alarming. I will definitely talk about this separately on Retro Rebound, but they did have cases, for example, like Wolfenstein on Switch, where it was online only, and you would just be buying a piece of paper to go ahead and download the game, and that is kind of redundant. It doesn't seem this is the standard for every single Switch 2 game, but I think it eventually will be, especially based on the difference in pricing. Why is that? Well, we learned today that Mario Kart World goes up to $80 digitally, and reportedly the physical version is $90. And I mean, again, background speaks for itself. I love physical games. We're talking like a $20 jump from where I was already kind of uncomfortable spending that much on physical, especially because a lot of the times they are exactly what Nintendo very transparently describes here is game key cards. They're product keys. Why do you think my Xbox One and Series X library on physical is so small? It's because, yeah, most times it's just product keys, and I would buy them physically, but it's a waste of plastic. It's a waste of space on my shelf. It could go to other games that are actually on disc. So yeah, it's disappointing. The end of physical games is here, and it breaks my heart. But the weird thing that we're seeing here is I went, okay, $80 is the standard. No doubt that door is now open, and GTA 6 will blow it wide open. But Donkey Kong Bonanza was $70, and I thought that would be one they would charge $80 for. So I don't know how they're going to move this price tag up and down. I think the Galaxy Brain plan here, if I were to take a guess, is if you buy the Switch 2 with Mario Kart World packaged in, it's actually a $50 game. But if you want to go for it physically, guess what? It's almost double that price. So you may as well buy the bundle. So maybe Nintendo's trying to push more hardware, and I think the attachment rate for Mario Kart World is going to be absolutely insane. That's just my guess, because again, even if you buy it digitally, it's $30 more than it would have been if you just coughed up an extra $50 when buying the hardware itself. So I think that's the plan here. I don't know, just a guess, but yeah, pretty expensive. We also saw upgrades to Switch Online. They're adding the GameCube library, as we talked about in yesterday's video, based on the FCC patent that we did find. And so yes, there will be also a GameCube controller alongside it, but I'm very excited about this. They're adding Wind Waker, they're adding Soul Calibur 2, F-Zero GX. They showed off some multiplayer support. They also did tease upcoming games like Gale of Darkness, Coliseum. We have Luigi's Mansion, Mario Sunshine, Fire Emblem Path of Radiance, Mario Strikers. That Fire Emblem game, by the way, super expensive. I remember seeing someone at PAX looking for it, and it's like hundreds of dollars. So this is actually kind of a good thing, but here's the thing, like, please let us buy these, especially if you are pushing us toward this sort of digital ecosystem. I don't want all of my classics locked off in a subscription service. I don't mind if there's a recurrent subscription service that gives you access to all of these. That's cool, but like, I don't sometimes play all of these games. And I know that right now Switch Online is a pretty good, like $20 a year or something like that. So it's not the end of the world, but I would happily pay a little bit more to just have these games in my digital library rather than a subscription service. Like, I don't know why we can't do both, especially for pushing toward digital only. I want these games to be preserved in a way that's not just in some arbitrary subscription service. So rant over, but now we get into the full list of games. Some of them will be rapid fire, in particular with the third-party stuff, but when it comes to the Nintendo stuff, the first one I want to talk about is Donkey Kong Bonanza. Man, I was so happy to see this. I know a lot of people are like, man, no 3D Mario, but as someone who grew up on Donkey Kong 64, I love that game. I know it hasn't aged well for a lot of people because like they have 1,000,001 different types of collectibles in that game. So I get it, but this looks like just the Mario Odyssey treatment for Donkey Kong. I'm not crazy about the Donkey Kong redesign as a whole, but I am so excited for a new 3D Donkey Kong game for the first time since my childhood. Like, I've never really been huge on 2D Donkey Kong. It's just kind of like a preference thing, I think, based on where I was introduced and what I really loved about DK64. But to kind of bring that to the modern era, very, very excited about that. Mario Kart World, we already talked a bit about. They have like their traditional Grand Prix. They have like a knockout tour where you can drive from like one end of the country to the other. There's a free roam mode. You can free roam with friends. I hope there's like a really cool career mode tucked in here or something like that, or the free mode has like little side missions or something. I don't know if it's just driving around the world, but there is some sort of open-endedness to it all that I'm very interested to learn more about. But it does seem like an actual evolution from what Mario Kart was doing before. So while I'm not the biggest kart racing head, I did play a lot of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, so I'll be there day one to try out Mario Kart World. Kirby Air Riders was a really pleasant surprise. I played very little Kirby Air Ride on the GameCube, but I know a lot of people love it. Seeing Sakurai directing it is exciting. At the same time, though, as like a Smash fan, I'm like, yeah, what's happening with Smash though? I just, you know, I hope that we're getting a new Smash game soon. I know replacing Smash Ultimate is going to be really difficult. Maybe the answer from Nintendo first is to do some sort of next gen version, we'll call it, of Smash Ultimate. I don't know, but I am still excited for Kirby Air Riders. I want to learn more about it. The biggest surprise, no doubt, though, was Dusk Bloods, a game that we'll undoubtedly talk a lot about here on the channel. It is a From Software game. It is a Nintendo Switch 2 exclusive. It's coming out in 2026, and when I first saw it, I went, there's no way they got Bloodborne. There's no way they got Bloodborne, and it's not, but they had me in the first half. It's a multiplayer PvPvE FromSoft game, and so I'm kind of in that window right now as we speak where, based on what I played with Night Rain, I was like, you know what? This is just great game design. It's not exactly what I want all the time from Software, but I can get down with this. To see back-to-back games from them being multiplayer, I understand why some may be a little bit uneasy about that direction. However, I'm going to keep an open mind because, again, what I played of Night Rain was awesome, and I am very excited for the full release of that game. That said, would I be more out of my seat if this was a From Software title that was a successor to Bloodborne and it was a single-player title? Absolutely. Still, I think the output from Software is commendable. Most teams, after they release Elden Ring, disappear and don't release something for another 6 years. I like that I've seen a lot of From Software since Elden Ring, more than ever, actually, and all of their games have intrigued me or excited me. So, From Software, Dusk Bloods, definitely interested because Bloodborne is my favorite FromSoft title, so I'll at least be trying it out. But I want to learn more about why it's multiplayer, what's going on here, because there was just a lot of like dodge rolling in empty rooms, and I wasn't getting a full understanding of what the game was, quite like Night Rain, where I was out of my seat getting hyped because I could tell immediately what it was. Like, to be frank, I did think at first it was like a battle royale game. So not a good first impression in that regard, but I want to learn more, no doubt. Hyrule Warriors gets a new entry in Age of Imprisonment. It's the story leading into Tears of the Kingdom that's coming out winter 2025. It looks like a normal Warriors game, which is a big deal if you're the Switch. I bought, I think, Age of Calamity is what it was called, the second Hyrule Warriors game on Switch. That thing barely ran, man. So just to see that this was running all right, looking all right, that's a victory in the stinky Switch era. Welcome Tour was also shown off. It's a kind of Astrobot coded game, in my opinion, not in the actual style of game it is, but more so in the, we're going to make a game out of the hardware. It's kind of interesting because you don't see, I feel, Nintendo often just take a direct page out of another console provider's playbook, but yeah, this is very Astrobot inspired. Like, we're going to make mini games based on the magnetic capability of our Joy-Cons and that sort of stuff. And so looks like a fun time. It is a paid digital only game, so it's not packaged in for free like Astrobot was, which is a bit of a shame. Another weird surprise was Drag X Drive to show off the mouse support on Switch 2. And so it's a game where you're in a wheelchair playing basketball, and it looks kind of fun. Coming out summer 2025. Definitely out of anything Switch related, this was probably the one I was least excited about, but otherwise a ton of third party. We saw Elden Ring is coming, Hades 2, Street Fighter 6 alongside all of its DLC fighters, Daemon X Machina is getting a sequel, it looks like, coming out September 7th. Split Fiction is arriving day one on Switch 2. Sports games like EA Sports FC, Madden, WWE, NBA 2K are all lining up to drop on the Switch at some point. Hogleg will be there. Tony Hawk with a SpongeBob level tease will be there. That's really exciting. Hitman and James Bond are going to be on the Switch. I wish we got a little bit more of James Bond. I want to know what this game is going to be, because I think of it almost like a mixture of what you get in Hitman as well as like more action-oriented sequences. But again, we'll see. We got Bravely Default Remastered. That's arriving June 5th, day one for the console. Yakuza 0 Director's Cut is arriving day one. I've been wanting to play Yakuza 0, so I don't know where I'm going to squeeze that in, but I will be hopefully checking that one out. Deltarune Chapters 3+4. I want y'all to inform me on this one, because I do like Undertale a lot, and I know nothing about Deltarune. Is this like the finale of the story? Or is this just like... Because when I saw Chapters, that's what kind of got me out of it. So is this something that I should check out now, or should I just keep waiting until it's done? Is it done? I don't know. But that's day one, and I know a lot of people are going to be very excited about that. Borderlands 4 will be on Switch 2. Civ 7 will be on Switch 2. Cyberpunk 2077 will be on Switch 2, although we barely saw that during the stream itself, because the stream, at least Nintendo stream, did break. Final Fantasy VII Remake Integrate is going to be on Switch 2, announced before Xbox. Very surprising, although it's been rumored for Xbox for a while. We also learned a bit about next-gen updates, Mario Party Jamboree getting some new modes, and mouse/camera support coming July 24th. Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are getting enhanced resolution and frame rate, plus Zelda Notes on the Nintendo app, which basically is like a GPS device, except it's in Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild. Really strange. But Kirby and the Forgotten Land getting a Star-Crossed World Story expansion. Metroid Prime 4 getting 4K 60 on Switch as a quality mode, and the performance mode also looks really good, goes up to 120 FPS. Pokemon Legends ZA, they described it as improved resolution and frame rate. Didn't provide any numbers though. I wonder why. You know, I'm going to be buying the game day one because I love the Legends series. I thought Arceus was really good, like at least on a game design and sort of fun factor front. Visually though, awful. And that's something that Legends ZA shares. You know, and for them to say it's improved resolution and frame rate, it's like, yeah, I can't tell. So don't give me numbers, because we all know it's empty numbers at the end of the day. So it's good to see that there are going to be next-gen updates for these Switch 2 games. That was a pleasant surprise that they were going to take advantage of that. Unfortunately, the main game I wanted to see get that, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, did not. So I will continue to wait to finish that game until Nintendo maybe upgrades it. But after like 30+ million sales, maybe they see no reason to. So that was all that was there. Pretty good show, but what was missing, and I think that's why I felt a little empty stepping out of it because I was excited for new hardware. It's really soon. There's a lot of really compelling software, for me at least. Again, all of it exciting, but some very particular Matty things, the things, of course, that I was most excited about were not there. One being the release date of Pokemon Legends ZA and Prime 4. Out of everything I talked about in the Switch 2 lineup, excluding Donkey Kong Bonanza, these were the two I am most excited about. I know we just saw them in the last Direct and we got windows for them, but I thought they would be firmed up here. Like, yeah, they're day one. Or, yeah, we'll see it within like a month or two. I don't know. I was just very surprised there was no date put on those. So that was pretty disappointing for me, but again, it's because those are the games I'm most looking forward to playing on my Switch 2, and I thought they would be kind of launch window games. Final Fantasy IX Remake not being there really stung. I'm like, why did the website go up this week if there was no announcement? I mean, it's inevitable, but like, when's it going to be now? This is bugging the hell out of me because I really want to see this game. We all know it's real. I really want to see this game because it is my favorite Final Fantasy. It is absolutely, yes, my most anticipated game when it is announced because Final Fantasy IX just has, I will say, a very powerful story, a very powerful message that resonated with me so deeply. And to see that kind of like new technology with maybe new gameplay, we'll see. I don't know, but that's the thing. I have so much curiosity about it, so I can't wait to learn more about it. I thought today would be the day, so that was a bummer. And instead, we get Bravely Default Remastered, which I'll finally try out Bravely Default. But we have that. And then, of course, the big missing one, in my opinion, was Xbox. I was wrong about this. I was right about Oblivion Remake, where I was like, I don't know. Something just feels, as I said in yesterday's video, something feels off about the Switch 2 Direct and Oblivion Remake and a Shadow Drop. It just didn't make sense to me the more I thought about it. So while it sucks, and I'm like, man, where is it going to get announced and just drop if it actually is going to be that? I don't know. We'll obviously see more reports as the days go on, and I'll have a separate video diving into it. But I think the real surprise, the one that I was incorrect about, was Xbox. I did think Xbox would be here, especially with the rumors of the ports they're lining up. We heard about Hi-Fi Rush 2 going to Switch. We heard about Halo going to Switch, Gears going to Switch. The only thing that I can think of is that Xbox is holding all of this for their own summer showcase. Because one thing Phil did clarify was that, you know, they're not afraid to put other teams' logos, like, say, a PlayStation or a Nintendo, on their own showcases. They just did that for the last Developer Direct. So maybe they don't need to be at the Switch Direct to announce these games, but rather, hey, we're announcing, say, Gears Collection, and they just put a Switch logo there. That way they control the messaging like it's their own game without stepping out onto their platform. I just thought they'd be there at the Switch 2 Direct again because I think it makes sense with the idea of them really pushing multi-platform publishing and being like, yeah, we're even going to be like here on Switch's stage. Like, we want to be everywhere. I think that message would have communicated a lot to consumers of where Xbox is really going. I don't believe those plans have changed, but again, I'm very surprised to see like no Xbox whatsoever. So no doubt there will be reports and leaks because it's Xbox, so we'll find out within probably a week or so. But I'll dive deeper into this subject, especially Oblivion Remake, a little bit later. But otherwise, I thought it was a really fun show. Trying to lock in that pre-order ASAP. It won't be available for a little bit of time now. I think it's April 9th based on what I was seeing online. So yeah, there's just a lot going on with the Switch 2 at this moment. And I'm very excited to learn more about the games that are on the way. But I'm curious to hear from you. How would you say this sizes up compared to Switch 1's reveal? Because I think it was definitely better. The main thing that was missing, though, was like, I remember that feeling of seeing Octopath Traveler for the first time. And I was like, man, that was like the game I was thinking about the moment I got my Switch. That's all I was there for. I don't know, outside of maybe Donkey Kong, if I'm really feeling that for Switch 2. So we'll see. But I do have to say the novelty of playing like a Cyberpunk or Final Fantasy VII Remake on the Switch is there for me. So I am still excited about third-party support. Otherwise, let me know your thoughts, and I'll catch all of you in the next video. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.